Our next speaker this afternoon is Dr. Kristin Held, ophthalmologist and co-founder of AmericanDoctors for Truth. Chris Held is a physician, board-certified ophthalmologist, and ophthalmologic surgeon. She received her medical degree from the University of Texas Medical School at San Antonio, where she also did her internship and residency and then became a faculty member. Currently, she's in private practice in San Antonio. She maintains an academic affiliation as a clinical professor in the Department of Ophthalmology. She is co-founder of AmericanDoctors for Truth, co-creator of Rebel MD, and a member of the National Physicians Council on Health Policy and National Physicians Coalition for Freedom in Medicine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Chris Held, and thank you for joining me today at the Let My Doctor Practice Summit. I'm going to address some very important issues today, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here and address you. Our profession is on suicide watch. We enable what destroys us. We are addicts, victims, and enablers at once in a never-ending cycle of addiction and abuse. We're addicted to the money that comes from third-party payers, government, and private health insurers who destroy the relationships with our patients and annihilate our autonomy to practice medicine. We are victims of what I call battered physician syndrome. We must break free and get clean. Physicians, we must heal ourselves. The abuse began just over 100 years ago with the establishment of the federal income tax and creation of the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS is now the executive branch's enforcer, usurping powers, targeting individuals, and making law. The addiction started in 1935 when the Social Security Act became law. Compulsory health insurance was not a part, largely because of the efforts of the American Medical Association. The AMA based its opposition on the belief that the programs would eventually lead to government intervention into the practice of medicine. They were right. In 1965, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Social Security Act, amendments into law creating Medicare and Medicaid, with the promise that the federal government would not interfere in any way with the practice of medicine whatsoever, including compensation, administration, or operation of any agency, institution, or person. In spite of the federal government's pledge not to interfere with the practice of medicine, the law has been continuously amended such that it is now in complete violation of Title 18, Section 1801. In politically correct terms, the law evolved. In reality, the practice of medicine in the United States has been fundamentally transformed. Our profession, the heart, and the art of medicine commandeered and lost. So here we are living under the paradoxically named Affordable Care Act. President Obama just signed another law that massively increases government control of doctors, patients, and the practice of medicine. H.R. 2, known as the Doc Fix, proving once again a government pledge is fleeting and begs the question, are present-day politicians well-intentioned statesmen subject to an inevitable slippery slope, or are they self-promoting gamesmen who must be bought and must not be trusted? Most Americans did not want and still do not want Obamacare. Under Obamacare, the Doc Fix, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, a non-doctor partisan bureaucrat, is granted unprecedented power and unlimited control of the practice of medicine. The executive branch and its IRS continue to rewrite the law and enforce it selectively with a wink and a nod from the Department of Justice, while Congress perseverates and punts to the Supreme Court, which rewrites more, and there is no recourse. A totalitarian ruling class that espouses an ends justify the means philosophy wove strategically crafted tricks through these healthcare laws and laced them with talking point tales. These are disseminated by the media. This pervasive philosophy and style extend to the Supreme Court, where two major challenges to Obamacare took place. Government won both. Amidst the storms of constitutional chaos, unchecking and unbalancing, pruning the three branches, and systemic lawlessness, it's no surprise that the Doc Fix was passed under false pretense as well. Touted as the fix for the flawed sustainable growth rate system by which government pays physicians, the so-called Doc Fix actually replaces the SGR with a far worse system. Instead of patients paying individual physicians, the Doc Fix law creates alternative payment models where government pays payment entities on a capitated basis and a lump sum on an annual basis. The entity then doles out pay to doctors after siphoning off their share in a perverse model where less money is paid out to care for patients, and this means more money is retained to profit the APM entity. And worse, as of 2019, in just 3.5 years, physicians will be subjected to MIPS, merit-based incentive plans. We will literally be graded in grade school fashion by government appointees and assigned a composite performance score from 0 to 100, depending on how well we comply with the Secretary's rubric. Our grade will then be publicly displayed on the Physician Compare internet website of HHS. Based on our score, the Secretary will assign each of us a payment adjustment factor, which will be positive, 0, or negative. Hence, we will be rewarded or penalized by the Secretary for how well we follow her marching orders. There's even a curve, points for showing improvement, and extra credit. The AMA, our state medical societies, and specialty societies supported this law. They didn't even read it. Or did they intentionally mislead us? We must understand MIPS. Quote, the Secretary shall establish an eligible professional merit-based incentive payment system. Eligible professionals, that's the new term for providers, a large group that includes everyone from a doctor, PA, and nurse to a midwife, speech pathologist, and social worker. Who's the all-powerful Secretary of Health and Human Services? Sylvia Matthews Burwell, who is not a physician, but a partisan politician, who after receiving degrees from Harvard in government and Oxford in philosophy, politics, and economics, served as a White House aide during the Clinton administration, and then as Clinton's Deputy Chief of Staff. She was director of the Office of Management and Budget before Obama appointed her secretary. Research her for yourselves. She is the government appointee who controls American medicine. She is the grader of our lost art. Our grade will be based on our scores in 4 categories: quality, resource use, clinical improvement activities, and meaningful use of certified electronic health records. Quality comprises 30%. January 1st, 2016, the Secretary will post her plan for quality measure development, including how private payers can be incorporated. May 2016, a final plan will be posted on the CMS website. What constitutes quality to government? Government factors in resource allocation when it assesses quality. Patients' and doctors' perspectives of quality outcomes are vastly different from the government's. Early examples of this discrepancy are the 2009 United States Preventive Services Task Force recommendations that change the accepted standard of care for screening mammography for breast cancer and screening PSAs for prostate cancer. The task force was willing to screen fewer women, decrease the diagnosis rate, delay diagnosis, and lose lives to save money. The public outcry was huge and threatened passage of the ACA, so a sentence was added to the law to specifically disregard only the 2009 mammography recommendations. Men didn't fare so well politically, and with less PSA screening, we are now seeing decreased diagnosis of intermediate and high-risk prostate cancer, and will no doubt see increased presentation of high-risk prostate cancer in later stages in younger men in the near future. Is increased morbidity and mortality best quality medicine? Is the physician who receives the highest score from government doing what is best for the individual patient? 2. Resource use comprises 30% of our grade. Measurement of our resource use is the government tally of every service we provide, every operation we perform, every medication we inject, and every prescription we write, including cost of drugs under Part D Medicare. Outliers will be penalized, even if we're doing the best at what we do for the patients. Our patients do better. If our resource utilization is too high, we'll get a low grade. 3. Clinical improvement activities comprise 15%. We must do at least 6 types of activities. To score well, the Secretary wants us to provide after-hour advice, participate in a data registry, use remote monitoring or telehealth, use shared decision-making and checklists, participate in an alternative payment model, and this is a biggie. She will score us on maintaining certification. Maintenance of certification, MOC, is used by government to control physicians. The Secretary may contract with entities to assist her in specifying clinical improvement activities, criteria for activities, and determining whether an eligible professional meets criteria. The DocFix allocates $90 million to these guiding entities between 2015 and 2017 alone. Who are these entities? Entities like the Institute of Medicine, ABIM, and National Quality Forum headed by Kristin, who is the former ABIM chief. So the same people who get $90 million to tell the Secretary what constitutes MOC for our score are the same people who make money from testing and certifying us. This is a shocking conflict of interest, as well as a massive waste of resources. Worse is how the Institute of Medicine is using MOC to forward their agendas by requiring physicians to engage in their pet MOC activities, even if their agenda items are counter to individual physicians' deeply held beliefs. The IOM plays an important role in Obamacare decision-making and hopes their 2014 report on end-of-life care, quote, will further shape the national conversation on dying in America. The committee seeks major reorientation and restructuring of Medicare and Medicaid, including changing financial incentives and offering positive alternatives for the end of life. They say they want to maximize independence and quality of life over living longer. Obamacare bureaucrats will be the judges of what constitutes quality of life. Providing palliative services instead of providing life-prolonging services to the Medicare, Medicaid population will save money. We are evolving from providing cure-oriented care to emphasizing palliative care and cost. The authors of this publication recommend that to advance this agenda, it should be made part of physicians' MOC requirements. Physicians are being extorted financially and ethically to fulfill maintenance of certification requirements established by central planners. 4. Meaningful use of certified EHR. This counts 25%. To be meaningful users, physicians must allow full disclosure of confidential patient information to the government in interoperable electronic health records. Beginning July 1, 2016, the Secretary can sell this data on Medicare patients to qualified data entities. Soon, this will include Medicaid, S-CHIP, and private insurance patients as well. Authorized users of this data who will have full access to patients' private medical records are a provider of services, a supplier, an employer, a health insurance issuer, a medical society or hospital association, or any entity that is approved by the Secretary as determined by the Secretary. This violates the Hippocratic Oath and defiles the patient-physician relationship. That the government gathers and sells this personal data is unethical. That physicians are willing to turn over confidential patient information to get paid more is a disgrace. On a personal note, 3 years ago I was hospitalized following cancer surgery, and over the course of events in the hospital discovered an EHR error had occurred in the recovery room whereby my data had been scanned to another patient's EHR, and his medication showed up as mine. Had I not been a surgeon, the EHR error would have gone unnoticed with potentially grave complications. EHRs have not been adequately tested, but they've been launched and are not ready for prime time. That we receive a higher score for doing what's untested and potentially harmful is perverse and flat wrong. Physicians with the highest performance scores will get up to a 9.9% bonus, while the lowest scores will get a 9% penalty. Thus, MIPS will result in a 19% pay disparity among physicians based on who complies with the government rubric best, even if scoring the highest to get paid the most violates our code of ethics or harms our patient. There's a budget neutrality requirement for MIPS, and here's the clincher. Quote, the Secretary shall ensure that the aggregate increase in pay from the adjustment factors shall be equal to $500 million per year, 2019 through 2024. This averages $910.75 per physician that bills Medicare. What a huge and expensive undertaking for $900. This is a losing proposition. So what if no physicians meet the Secretary's performance standards? The doc fix has a fix for that too. The negative adjustment factors shall apply, and the budget neutrality requirement shall not apply for such a year. Translation: if none of us do what the Secretary says, we'll all get a 9% reduction in pay, and HHS will keep the $500 million that year. SGR will soon be a speck in the rearview mirror as the doc fix hits us head on. Can you imagine our predecessors going along with this? Why did our societies and physician congressmen support this? I found out about the Composite Performance Score by reading and dissecting H.R. 2 for myself. The law completely hands our autonomy to practice medicine over to the Secretary and grants her the power to determine whose national provider identifier is valid. She then requires a valid NPI to be present on prescriptions in order to be covered. Thus, she can selectively destroy a physician's ability to treat patients. This is my line in the sand, my breaking point. What is yours? I refuse to be graded and publicly humiliated for how well I do a politician's bidding, which may be in direct violation of my code of ethics and potentially harmful to my patients. I will not be morally complicit. I will not enable this. I will not be humiliated or threatened into doing this. Will you? I offer a 12-point plan to help doctors break free, reclaim our patients and our profession, and stay clean from third-party domination. 1. Honor the Hippocratic Oath. As physicians, we share a bond, having endured a rite of passage known to rare few. Our lifelong investments of time, money, heart, mind, and soul have resulted in us acquiring precious skills, knowledge, and experience necessary to treat patients. No one else can do what we do. They sell only the promise of our service. This is why they seek to compel and control us. We alone have submitted and sold ourselves out to those who do not have the best interest of our patients or profession at heart, those who cannot be trusted, and career politicians who are influenced by special interest in pursuit of power, money, and mostly winning the next election. Career politicians say one thing to get elected and do another once back in office. I'm talking about politicians from both parties. There is rare exception. These politicians plead for our money and support to stop what's happening. But they don't stop what's happening. Their actions and inactions serve to entrench the very law they promised to repeal. They string us along saying, when we take the House back, we'll repeal Obamacare. Wait, we mean when we take the Senate back. We mean when the Supreme Court rules. Oops, when the Supreme Court rules this time. When we take back the White House? It's a farce. Healthcare is a $3 trillion a year proposition. Even the best intentioned assimilate into the DC culture and acquiesce to hospitals, pharma, insurance, IT, unions, special interest du jour, anyone who brings more to the cartel table than we, mere individual physicians, do. I was on Capitol Hill the day the doc fix passed the House and was told we were the first practicing doctors who had come to several of the congressmen's offices, while they had been regularly visited by members of the AMA, hospital lobby, IT, and so on. They will not fix this for us. They've proven that. We must fix this for ourselves. The Hippocratic Oath is critical to the survival of our patients and profession. Obamacare architects like Ezekiel Emanuel believe our oath is outmoded and that a new generation of physicians that do not embrace it must be cultivated. Medical schools beholden to government and its money stream are producing doctors according to government design. We must take the education of our next generations of physicians back. We must protect the Hippocratic Oath and preserve it. 2, we must resist. It is counterintuitive for us to resist or dissent. We are by nature healers and compliers. No longer can we do things automatically just because we're told. We must judiciously examine each new requirement, rule, and regulation. Do not comply unless what we're being told to do is scientifically proven, fully transparent, verified, and moral. Ask yourself, does this serve the patient first? Is this the best use of resources? If not, don't do it. Kiss goodbye, APMs, MIPS, MU, ICD-10, all the lettered and numbered bureaucratic schemes forced on us. Admit they do not reflect precision scientific data from which meaningful clinical data can be derived and don't serve the best interest of our patients. Admit you're only doing it for the carrot and to avoid the stick. MOC, don't do it. But if you feel you must recertify, choose the National Board of Physicians and Surgeons alternative, a second certifying body set up by Dr. Kristin, who sets the example for what we must all do: push back and problem solve. Do not submit because you think there's no alternative. Create one. Be the alternative. 3. Don't trust and do verify. We are authority-respecting, authority-trusting, compliant pleasers to a fault. This must change. The politicians have proven they and their laws are not to be trusted. Don't trust them. Regard the government takeover of medicine as a highly contagious, potentially lethal disease, a threat to public health. Have a high index of suspicion for worst-case scenario. Read every new law, rule, and regulation critically, just like you do before prescribing a new medication or doing a new procedure. Evaluate your resources like you do journal articles. Remember biostatistics? Use them. Watch the Federal Register and CMS for new rules and requests for public comment. Create and serve on watch groups of physicians that coordinate this ongoing defense effort. Dedicate your time and resources. Number 4, no excuses, no fear. We can no longer be too busy, too tired, fed up, trapped, or afraid. We can't just hang on until we early retire or career change. Most of all, I hear, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of losing my patients, my income, my livelihood. Recall the first time we encountered our cadavers or operated on our first patients? Fear did not deter us. It motivated us, made us better. Fear is trapping us in a professional and ethical death spiral now. We are suffering from battered physician syndrome, a pattern of signs and symptoms such as fear and the inability to escape appearing in doctors who are physically and mentally abused over an extended period of time by demands and constraints of their profession or dominant individuals and groups seeking to malign and control them. Physician morale is low. Physician suicide rate is up. Most physicians discourage family and friends from going into medicine. Will doctors stay in this abusive relationship? We must end this cycle before it ends us. It's time to take responsibility and break up. 5. Do not be bullied. Over the years, we've gone from willingly working with to being completely dependent on third party for our patients and our pay. At first, we did it as a favor or convenience for our patients. We got on plans so patients would have a choice, the opportunity to see us without having to see what we were being paid. Wow, that has backfired. Our patients have become the insurance company's patients. Shortly after the rollout of healthcare.gov, I discovered Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield listed me on their provider exchanges as a provider on their plans without my consent or notification. I regard this as false advertising to patients and a false claims type misrepresentation to HHS. It took over a year and completely severing ties until Aetna finally took my name off. Blue Cross Blue Shield continues to extort me, saying if I won't see their exchange patients, I can't see any of their patients. I asked for this in writing and was told, you have our verbal response. They will not put this in writing. When I got off United, they sent letters to my patients saying because I'm no longer a provider, it might cost them more to see me. What if it actually cost the patients less to see me? We must stand up to these companies that sell our services without our consent. They've evolved from providing insurance to protect people from financial crisis in the face of catastrophic medical problems to effectively practicing medicine without a license and abusing us. They redistribute the money the feds take in and ration the care they're charged with delivering to increase their bottom line. They bully us into enabling this inverted system. President Obama himself denigrates and demonizes us. Recall when he said doctors will take out tonsils if we're short on cash, that surgeons immediately get paid $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to cut off a foot, when in reality the surgeon is paid in the hundreds of dollars. And worst of all, remember when he said, quote, we'll let doctors know and your mom know that maybe you're better off not having the surgery but taking the painkiller. Rebuke him and report the facts. We must stand up for ourselves if we hope to ever stand up for our patients. Hospitals bully us too. Stop selling our practices and going to work for them. The artificially inflated charge master bills, sham peer reviews, MOC requirements for staff privileges, overregulation, and cyclical nonsense protocols harm us, as does their hiring us for one salary and then offering an absurdly low salary when the contract comes up for renewal after we've sold them our practices. The AMA now gets the majority of its revenue from Washington, $80 to $100 million a year, to maintain CPT billing and coding. Correspondingly, the AMA is threatened with losing this massive revenue stream by the feds in an ongoing extortion for support scenario. Thus, the AMA has evolved into an active player in the DC cartel as well. Even the AMA Code of Ethics is now being described as a living document, evolving hand in hand with the fundamental transformation of medicine. The AMA and our state and specialty societies tell us how to comply and implement with not even a whisper of an alternative. And each other. We are our own worst enemies. Here's an excerpt from a classic EHR-generated letter I received recently from a colleague. Quote, "Dear Kristin, this is an update on Mr. John Doe. The following is my summary of findings on 6/9/2015. Patient of Dr. Held for years, but now she's not taking his insurance. Send to Dr. X for care of glaucoma. Refer to Dr. X. Thank you again for allowing me to assist in the care of Mr. John Doe. Sincerely, electronically signed." I have cared for this patient and his wife for 18 years. They have my cell number, they have my trust, and now they have a new doctor. It's that easy. Ouch. It hurts. Stop putting insurance before the patient-physician relationship. Send patients back to their established doctors, and if you don't, please don't send the thoughtless EHR-generated letter. 6. Don't play the game. Stop playing their games. Government and politicians play games nonstop. We are barraged with emails. Get ready for ICD-10 because it's coming whether you like it or not. No one has paused to check potential ramifications of this for patients if there's massive dropout of physicians if we're not adopting ICD-10. Non-adopters will not be able to bill third-party for services. The patients will have insurance, but suddenly, as of October 1st, no doctors. Instead of repealing the ICD-10 and EHR mandates, politicians sold out to hospitals and IT. To appease us, they just passed a delay of game card, whereby ICD-10 will be implemented, but the consequences will be delayed. Wait, what happens after 6 months? This is nothing more than a stay of execution, a tube of KY jelly before the terminal prostate exam. Politicians try to pass new laws to protect us from the bad laws they just passed, such as protecting physicians from being sued for abiding by government guidelines and mandates, which begs the corollary question, will we be sued if we don't follow government guidelines and mandates? Or worse, will we be fined, jailed, or stripped of our licenses? We need fewer laws, not more. Stop playing. Gaming the system is not a solution either. To my colleagues currently working with third party on measuring, reporting, and grading, what the heck are you doing? Saying it's better if we play with them than to let them do it for us is a flawed argument. It's like saying, I'll use my own recipe for my poison soup because it will taste better going down. The only way not to lose is not to play. 2 years ago, at the government relations session of the ASCRS meeting, our liaison lobbyist actually had the PowerPoint slide saying, if you can't beat them, join them. She told us we were to blame for our surgical fees going down because we reported such short operating times, intimating that we should have just lied. Wait, if we'll game play and lie to get paid, when will the lying stop? Is there anything we won't do? Quit this most dangerous game. 7. Get informed, inform others, and be transparent. Many doctors don't even know what they're getting paid for what they do. We just keep working to the limit, presuming someone cares enough to pay us fairly, or that some genius, angelic, economist actuarial has crunched numbers that work in everyone's best interests. Sorry, pals, no one does. Fact is, the government preys on our charity and our trust of authority and does what it takes to get their rules passed, including duping, bribing, penalizing, and grading us. They're banking on the stupidity, naivete, and cowardice of the American doctor. We must know what we are paid by third party and decide for ourselves what constitutes a fair market price, and then post it clearly for patients to see. Know what your expenses are. Know what your revenue is. Research what third-party plans you are on. Make a detailed spreadsheet. What does each plan pay you for each service you provide? What are the maximum, minimum, and mean fees? What's the Medicare allowable? What percentage of your income does each payer account for? What percentage of your patient volume does each payer account for? Create your own personal fee schedule. Make it as affordable as you possibly can. Implement it, post it, and continually refine it. Educate your patients about insurance and the total real cost of their premiums, deductibles, and cost sharing, which are rising while their benefits are being restricted and denied. Show them your fee schedule and point out potential savings by opting out of Obamacare plans, choosing instead to seek direct patient care. Supplement with a health care sharing medical plan, a catastrophic plan, and an HSA. Show them you can save them money, and they can keep the money, and they can keep you. 8, wean and clean from third party. Get out your insurance payer spreadsheet. One by one, eliminate the insurance company that pays you the least and treats you and your patients the worst. Then pause. Let things recalibrate and then eliminate the next. Continue the process. I've been weaning from third party for the past 5 years, beginning with opting out of Medicaid and switching from participating to non-participating with Medicare, and terminating my agreements with United, Aetna, and other undesirable companies. October 1st, 2015 is my all-clean date. Join me, or set your own. If you're on Medicaid, get off. Provide true charity care yourself at the lowest possible cost or free. Dr. Alita Eck has a superb model for this in her Zarephath Health Center. Opt out of Medicare. AAPS has excellent informational videos on how to do so. It starts with downloading a form. Start the process now. If you can't opt out yet, at least go to non-participating status. It makes you more accountable and makes patients see what things cost. Our numbers are critical. Of the 16,598 ophthalmologists in patient care in the United States, only 30 have opted out. I will be number 31. If just 29 more ophthalmologists will opt out, the number of ophthalmologists opting out of Medicare will have doubled. This is newsworthy. Join me. A mass opt-out on October 1st would be momentous, revolutionary. 9, connect, communicate, celebrate. Connect with patients and colleagues. Educate one another about what is happening to patients' practices in the healthcare law. We're a team. Recruit team members and strengthen team bonds. We will only survive if our patients stand with us. Communicate via email, blogs like Sermo, associations like AAPS and UPSA. Don't be arrogant. If you don't want to be on an email chain, just press delete. Don't castigate everyone else on the thread. But better yet, get educated and engage. We need to keep each other bolstered up against the constant demands and demoralization. Communicate with staff, reassure them, and engage their support. Then celebrate. Through civil discourse and open exchange of ideas and information, we'll be better equipped to fight our bullies and oppressors, think outside the box, and create solutions. Learn from other people's models, refine them, build on them. 10, cut the deal, cut the cost, cut the strings, call them out. Cut deals. Personally go to our hospitals, surgery centers, all vendors, and drive the hardest bargains we can on goods and services. Cut the costs. Pass these savings on to the patients, and then undercut third party, replete with its built-in waste and inefficiency and redundancy, which we have all trimmed. Cut the strings. Once we've simplified things, cut strings with unnecessary vendors. Take things in-house. When we're finally third-party free, we won't be losing 7 to 10% off the top to billing and coding companies and so on. Call them out. Call out our oppressors, the AMA and ABIM for their conflicts of interest, our state and specialty societies for endorsing bills they haven't read and taking stances that don't represent the majority of their members. Call out individuals like Emmanuel, Castle, Gruber, who profit from exploiting us. Call out our elected officials for not reading the laws they pass, not keeping their word, and for selling us out to special interest. Call out the media. Educate them about realities in the trenches, and call them out for disseminating talking point half-truths and for not reporting harmful effects of the ACA. 11, create an alternate universe. Create a practice model to be there and be prepared for patients when the system abandons them. Create a world where we can practice patient-centered, state-of-the-art medicine, unencumbered by the nonsense and waste of third-party, mandated health care, at a far lower cost to the patients. Each individual specialty, community, practice, and model will be uniquely different. Provide the best at a fraction of the cost with privacy and dignity. Dr. Keith Smith, founder of the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, is a visionary and modern-day hero in this regard, and his center is a model to be emulated. Purchase patients' meds wholesale and pass on the savings like Dr. Josh Humbert, founder of Atlas MD, does, and offer other services in the office, making things more convenient and cheaper than using their insurance company. My patients' post-op drops were costing some over $200. We now offer generic antibiotic drops in our office for $4. In Texas, it's legal to dispense from your office. Write your Medicare opt-out letter now. Write a letter to your patients explaining why you're opting out and why they should join you in an alternate universe. Cut waste and get a line of credit in preparation for a year or more hard transition period. Take a big risk. Build a new practice model. Go on offense. Join and support physician groups who will fight with us. And pray. Nope, the graders of the lost art will not grade me. They will not destroy my colleagues' lives with burnout, depression, and suicide. They will not regulate, restrict, or rule my patients and me. No nonsensical ICD-10 for me. So on October 1st, 2015, I will not be able to file claims with third party. This will be hard and hurtful, but tough love is tough, and I'll be wiped clean. I have faith. I have great role models and resources, many of whom are speakers at this summit. I'm collaborating with a group of top-notch physicians who will be there with fair, transparent fees and access to excellent care in our alternate universe. We must incur risk if we hope to preserve Hippocratic medicine and make the profession of medicine become something our children and grandchildren want to go into. Only we can break the abusive cycle. 12. Finally, we must maintain constant vigilance. As we celebrate our freedom, our reconciliation with our patients, and our code of ethics, we must remain forever vigilant, build and maintain a strong defense, and participate in a constant action plan for the survival of Hippocratic medicine in the U.S. We must take our turns on watch. Do what each does best, whether it's being the one that reads the laws or investigates the graders, or speaks, writes, educates, negotiates, or leads. We need platoons of physician guardians united, working to secure the freedom to treat our patients, to stay clean. Physicians, it's time. Heal ourselves.
Hi, Chris. Judy Thompson here. Can you hear me?
Hi, Judy.
How's the weather? I hear it's hot.
It's hot. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for a fantastic presentation. That was a lot of work, really informative. And where do we go to find your 12-point plan?
Well, I have posted, I'll give everybody a copy of the piece I wrote, but it's on my blog right now. You can go to chrisheldmd.wordpress.com, and it's entitled Graders of the Lost Art, Physician Heal Ourselves, and then I've got the 12-point plan on there. And I really appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to participate in this summit. It's awesome. Thank you.
Well, it's all about speaking up, and we appreciate that you have spoken up so eloquently. Beside me is Dr. Dan Caviato, orthopedic surgeon from Santa Barbara, California, and he has a question for you.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Dan.
How are you doing? Nice to see you. I was just kind of joking with, after your presentation and seeing you in front of that stone building, if you're standing right in front of the Alamo.
Oh, I would, yeah. If I was in an Alamo, you'd probably see bullet holes behind me. It actually has them in it. But yeah, no, I'm still in San Antonio. I was in the OR this morning. I'm going to see my post-op tomorrow and then head y'all's way. So great meeting. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sure. Hey, there's so much we could talk about with the specificity of what you went into. And first of all, let me just thank you for your leadership and activism and taking the courage to speak out on all of these things and informing all of us. So I appreciate that. There's a lot we could talk about. One of the things I've been thinking about the last couple of days is why is it that these messages, these kind of things where physicians are speaking out, are coming from individual physicians and not our medical organizations and our societies. I see that as a huge problem for the longevity and the viability of the medical profession. And whether it's EHRs or what you're speaking to on MACRA, or all of these things, and I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree with you. And Judy was with NBC with me when we were kind of on our quest up there and finding out what was going on. It's almost as if, you know, I wonder, are there two parts? Is it because physicians are so trusting that we think, you know, the AMA, so, you know, 15% or less of the members, we trust that the AMA is going to take care of us, government's going to take care of us, and we don't worry, which is wrong, and we can't. We know we have to worry now. Or is it because there's so much money in D.C. and that medicine has become a political hot potato, and politically expedient medicine is bad, and so they're legislating a rapid fire to get everything through and get us conquested. And I think that the HR2, the MACRA, is a prime example of that. It was sold as a solution to SGR. So what most doctors, you know, we're all busy. It takes our time to do this. And what we hear, hey, the SGR got fixed, and there's no more penalties, and you don't have to do any for 5 minutes, and then it's worse. What we've got in here with this grading system and everything that MACRA has in it makes, you know, the SGR and all the other reporting look like nothing. So, you know, did they not read that wrong? Were they tricking us? I don't know. What do you think, Dan and Judy?
I agree with you. I actually didn't want that to pass because I thought if the reimbursements went down, that would be a great cry. Physicians would rally together. As you know, my heart is I think we need one organization to speak for us, but they should have separated the two issues in my mind. Let SGR be a separate thing. They got in what they wanted to get in, and they did it under the reimbursement thing. We're solving the reimbursement because they wanted to get all this other stuff in. I don't know how I'm going to spend the time doing all of this unless I decide to opt out. And I'm like you, and I appreciate your heartfelt message. I'm looking at it in real time, and I have to make a decision as an individual physician what I'm going to do. But we're all doing our best here, right?
Chris, I want to respond. I want to respond quickly, and then I want to give Dr. Chu an opportunity to ask what I think is a really pertinent question. Yes, I was in Washington with you, and it's, to the best of my knowledge, we had a very well-known physician representative who was actually behind closed doors with senators while we were together putting together our 5-point plan. So I don't think that Congress can say that they did not know what was in that package. It's my understanding that there were knowledgeable, informed individuals who made it known to them. At the same time, I enjoyed the privilege of communicating with executive members of my national society who were asking questions either over the phone or via an email opportunity, our community, and I believe that the message I heard them say was that it was more important for them to respond to the message of SGR repeal than to respond to the hidden content of the legislation. And with that being said, I'd like to turn the question over to Lisa Chu.
Hi, Dr. Held. It's Lisa Chu. I'm so delighted to meet you. You're a woman of my own heart. Background on me, in case you didn't see earlier episodes, since leaving medicine, I have been coaching physicians who are in burnout or in career transition. So I love the title of how you framed this about looking at ourselves. And I'm really intrigued at the analogy to us being addicted and abused. And what you've outlined in your 12 steps is really a recovery process. And you mentioned fear. It's been a big topic over the last few days here. And I'm curious, can you tell us the story for you personally? What inspired you to access your own courage and stand up and start to author your own life?
Oh, great question. Well, it's something very innate. My father's a physician. He was a chairman of neurosurgery for 30 years, so I grew up feeling that being a physician is such a life calling, something that is so fundamentally, you know, it's basically right there with right and wrong, and, you know, it's kind of who you are and what you do with your life. And then, just throughout my life being a physician, taking care of my patients, and then I have 4 daughters. One's a physician, one's a third-year med student, and one's pre-med now. And in the midst of all this, you know, you see how hard people work and what they do. And I think when I was in the OR, and I heard the first 3 things that our new president, you know, we've all wanted reform. We're like, this system's broken, we need to fix it. But when I heard what was coming out, demonizing doctors and government, him saying, we'll let doctors know whether it's better to have surgery or take a killer. That one. The thing about cutting off the foot and that surgeons immediately get paid $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000 when we get paid like, you know, $800. And the money part isn't what bothers me about that statement. We love our patients, and we're cutting off a foot, or when we're doing an operation of that nature, it's agonizing for us too. Yeah, we go in there and we do the operation, but it's heartfelt. We've been with that patient, and it just hit me that they're going out and destroying the very medicine that gave us open heart surgery and saved little babies. I mean, just everything that we've done, they're destroying it on a false premise, and they're so arrogant they don't understand if they don't know. And of course, they're in the midst of it, about 2 years into it, you know, they said, don't get your mammogram. My daughter forced me to go get one, and lo and behold, I had breast cancer with no family history. So then I had this other relationship with my physicians and my surgeons, and it just really brought me full circle. So this is just something that is just, I'm not going to relinquish Hippocratic medicine to these central planners. I just can't, and I'd be interested to hear your story as well. You know, I just checked my email, and the first thing I got from the PMA was either use ICD-10 or don't get paid. That's the recent email I got, and then it says, you know, go spend XYZ money. Well, I'm not going to do it. But there comes a point when, what won't you do? And that's what I want to know. And then I've asked physicians, a lot of the things in the talk, well, when I've asked physicians, a lot of them, they're scared, they're afraid. How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to keep my license? You know, it's all those issues.
Chris, how have you dealt with your own fears as you've gone through this process?
Support, I think, physician colleagues are so important. Every one of you, we've all met from different corners of the country, whether it be initially through meetings or social media or our writings or our work. We've come together as a support group. I really almost feel like, you know, with the 12-point plan, we need to have our, you know, Physicians Anonymous group, where we come together, Hippocrates Anonymous. We've got to come, and it makes you've got to talk about it, and we're the only ones who understand. The second thing is engaging my patients, and my patients say, where are the doctors? Why aren't y'all saying anything? And most all of them stand with me. They understand. They're clamoring for us to stand up for them. And I wish we would. I know we're busy. It's hard. I don't want to stay up at night and do this. I don't want to, you know, go from the OR and run and do this. And, you know, our family says, why are you, come outside? And you're like, I'm reading HR2. You know, people are like, are you reading the care? It's true. I mean, the last time I was in Colorado, you know, it's like I read the entire Obamacare. It took me like all vacation and like, you know, and plus in order to read each subsequent law, you have to know what the prior one said, and you kind of have to learn how to understand it.
Right.
So it's a lot of, we take heed for it. I know y'all do too.
Well, Chris, we're down to our final seconds here, and once again, thank you so much for speaking up. Thank you for your leadership. This was very informative. I look forward to, you know, having direct access to your 12-point plan and step-by-step putting it into action.
Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys in Colorado this weekend.
See you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, bye, Dan, Judy.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Chris.